Zealot kind of heavy build. It would be very effective against Marine Marauder, but you really need that charge research done. Alright, we got the Immortal finished. One Stargate is just about finished. I'd imagine we'll see Void Rays coming out of here fairly quickly. Still got a hidden probe up here, just kind of chilling out, maybe waiting to expand. Meanwhile, Canadian has a very sizable force. That's a lot of Marines and Marauders. Concussive Shell and Stimpack is done. Got Siege Tech being worked on. A second Siege Tank coming out, so this is a very large army, and it looks like he is getting ready to push out, versus this little Zealot ball over here, and one Immortal. But we do have that first Void Ray on its way. Unfortunately, it looks like somebody was caught up a little bit and thrown off their game, so Xandixs was not chrono boosting for a minute there. He was at 100. But we do have a push coming from the Canadian across this middle ground, taking out these rocks. That's going to decrease that rush distance a lot. And considering both players are on one base right now, I really think Canadian has the advantage just with that huge saturation and those mules being dropped down. Again, I don't think we have an engineering bay up. No engineering bay quite yet. And also no starport, so we won't see any medevacs. And keeping an army at the base is always a great idea to prevent any kind of counters. So these guys are going to rush in here. These Zealots do not have charge finished, so they are going to get hit pretty hard before they can actually take this tank out. But it is a very nice surround by Xandixs. I think he's going to be able to hold this off, especially with this Void Ray going to work up here, and more Zealots being warped in from the front. I think he'll be able to clean this up, but just barely. These Marauders, 3 left versus just a few Zealots. So that was very close there, almost basically an all-in from the Canadian, but it is held off just barely by that single Void Ray, and now these Zealots in here are going to make a counter push, but there is a very large force waiting for him over here. Is weapons done yet? No, neither player has upgrades for their units here, but that is a large amount of Marines. I think they'll be able to clear this up. And there is the Warp Prism warping in Zealots, always a beautiful touch. Taking out those Marines, so that Void Ray is going to go to work. Zealots coming from the front, but these Siege Tanks holding it off just fine. 2 more Marines coming in here. Oh, are they going to be able to take it out to the Void Ray? 2 Marines versus 1 Void Ray does win with Stimpack. These forces getting completely cleaned up. More Zealots being warped in from the top, so this is a very close game. Oh, I think these Siege Tanks will be able to kill these Zealots just fine, though, and even more Marines coming in to reinforce this. A little bit more micro here would have kept that poor Siege Tank alive, but not gonna matter. Cleans that up just fine, and we're back to square one. Both players still running off one base, still that hidden probe up here in the north. Still this SCV sitting here waiting to scout something out. He's gonna be pretty bored, I think, for the rest of the game. And these supply depots are at half health. Do we have an engineering bay yet? Still no engineering bay, but looks like Xandixs still hasn't researched his weapons upgrade, or any other upgrade for that matter, so still really even here, still very basic units. Nobody's going stir-fry crazy or anything, and we do have a command center flying to the south looking to take his natural. And looks like we're gonna see another Warp Prism harass. He does catch this Warp Prism and maybe even these Void Rays as they go by, so I think he's gonna be prepared for this just fine. Yeah, he moves these Marines up north, so he's totally ready for it. And we have Red Xandixs putting down that Nexus up at the north at that island. I'm not sure if he's gonna spot this in time, but he does see a couple pokes going on here and there, so these Marines I think will be able to react just fine. Gonna be able to push back that entire force with just a handful of Marines. They are gonna poke the supply depot though, hopefully get that Void Ray charge up. Ooh, takes out that entire Warp Prism full of Zealots. Only 1 got out, so that harass was just completely denied. And big, huge ball of units here. I think the thing that's really killing Xandixs right now is he really should have gotten this natural started a lot earlier, and also having all of these production buildings but not making anything from them. I mean, 2 Stargates, only 1's making a Void Ray. Another warp prism coming into play here, finally warping in some sentries, but if you look at these warp gates, they're all ready to spawn units, so I think this is just a case of too many production buildings and not enough producing from them. And beautiful little transfer here of SCVs to the natural. I like having this army right here. Ooh, even sieging up for extra defense to hold off any kind of counter. And again, having these barracks all rallied to the main base so that instead of reinforcing your army, this is really a two-pronged thing. You can either rally your production buildings at your base and hold off any kind of harass or counters, cheese, anything like that. You can also have them rally to a unit that's actually on the field, and you will automatically get reinforcements running in towards your active army here. And now we have quite a few Void Rays, 3 Void Rays on the field now, and these Warp Prisms drop